This video was recorded in front of a live virtual audience. Hi everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to my channel. Today is a very interesting topic. We're going to be talking about and going in depth detail, dissecting the true reasons, the really true reasons of Chanel bag price increases, but not just. The idea behind all luxury brand bag price increases. And the commentary will expand to also other videos and other content creators. So before we get to it, as always, if you like my content, thumb up this video and subscribe to my channel here on YouTube. You can also push the subscription button, the join button next to the subscription button. Become a member today, gain access to extra perks. You can also join me on Patreon, superdacob all spelled together on Patreon, to gain access to extra perks there as well. Thank you so much to my patrons and members who have already pledged. You make the Fashion Bunker rock. Who also makes the Fashion Bunker rock are all my live co-viewers and co-chatters and co-reviewers in the chat section. I live stream every Saturday, so everybody's invited to join. You too can join me every Saturday. I live stream for around 10 hours every Saturday on my channel, recording together with you guys all of these videos that you subsequently see on my channel in the following weeks or days. So everybody's invited, and my chatters are ready here by my side. So we're going to really touch base on an analytical topic, dissecting the reasons why, in particular, Chanel, but not just Chanel, other luxury brands as well. But we're in particular focusing on Chanel this time around because as I am filming this video, just about over a week or two ago, Chanel has had a major price increase yet again. As I am filming this video in 2021, they have had up to 15% price increase on particular bags, in particular this little baby here, which jumped almost in euro prices, almost €1,000 overnight. Almost €1,000. It is now in the €6,300 range. I can't even say that amount without laughing at how ridiculous it is and how not worth it is. This is the favorite of the timeless classic double flap bags. My favorite, it is the double flap small. You can easily identify the small by just seeing that the last stitches down here, they should be stitched there as well, to kind of have that shape of these little quilted matelassé. They call them diamonds, but they are more square than diamond. So technically there should be another stitch there and there, but the smalls don't have that. It's a typical element, typical detail of the small that gives it a little bit more of character than all the other double flap timeless classics or 11.12 bags. So always look for that little extra elongated bit here at the bottom for the smalls, which gives them that extra zhuzh. I love the fact that it's slightly different down there. All the smalls have that, so always notice that. Anyway, this is the one that has experienced the biggest markup, and it is insane. So when my sales associate said, "Hey, Dacob, I'm not allowed to tell you, but I'm going to tell you anyway. In 1 week, there's going to be a major price increase," I started laughing because I said, well, first of all, I know that they told you to tell your clients a week before the price increase that you're not allowed to tell them, but you're going to tell them anyway. So it all plays into the marketing. But you're here for another reason, right? For two other reasons. One of them being the reasons of the price increase. And let me tell you, so I have been analyzing this since a couple of weeks, and I've been preparing my points to share with you. And then I've noticed just a couple of days ago, somebody else made also a video with that topic. Now, of course, this other person didn't know that I was working on this topic. I didn't know that they were working on this topic, so it's fine. We both we cross-posted in a way, except, of course, I'm talking about Sophie Shohet. So hello, Sophie. Come join us. Hello, sweetie. How you doing, sweetie? So Sophie made a very interesting video. I'm going to read to you the title. It's called, so her video is called "Luxury Price Increases, The Real Truth About Why They Are Happening and Why They Are So High." So I have watched Sophie's video because I was working on the same topic. And so this came in really the timing was just perfect because I also got to kind of from a distance also pick Sophie's brains on the topic because she shared her opinions with us. So I wrote down her points, and I had already a couple of days prior written down my points, and it was so fascinating to see how some points clash or don't clash, and how different people see this whole situation differently of the price increase, the reasons behind why there is a price increase or not, and what this price increase means. So thank you. So I'm going to post the link to Sophie's video under my video. So please go check her video out and go check this wonderful lady's YouTube channel out as well. Thank you, Sophie. Bye. See you later. Okay. So now let's get to what Sophie said in her video about the reasons. Her video was not very to the point. It was a little bit messy because it wasn't like, okay, guys, because the title says luxury price increases, the real truth about why they are happening and why they are so high. And then she also added in the video, like, and how you can profit from this. So you would think, okay, there's a list of points. Well, for this reason, and this reason, that's why they're so high. That's why they're going up. And this is how you can profit from it. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. But instead, it's been a little bit of a switch and turn of topics, but I've tried to condense it in the essence. So she says one of the reasons why the prices are have gone up so much right now are connected to the pandemic. Okay. And she said tourism has gone down 30%. And this is one of the reasons why 30% of tourism going down means that you could have up to 15 to 20% loss in sales when it comes to fashion, because not every tourist wants to buy luxury fashion. So you can't expect that a 30% loss of tourism equals a 30% loss in earnings for these brands. Obviously, there has to be some other type of numbers going on there. But this plays a major factor. However, Sophie, I would like to remind you and all of you out there, these price increases weren't just happening since the pandemic began. These price increases were going on for decades. And in particular for Chanel, they started really happening big time from 2015 when they had their first 20% price increase. They called it back in 2015, harmonizing the prices worldwide. What a wonderful world marketing teams developed to justify such cruel decisions towards their clients. Instead of saying, we're going to rip you off because all of you want our bags, instead they call it price harmonizing across the board. Doesn't that sound amazing? So these price increases, or as they call them, price harmonization, have been going on 5 years already before the pandemic was even a thing. So first mistake, this is not happening. This price increase is not happening because of the pandemic. However, what is true, the pandemic has affected considerably the intake of earnings from these luxury brands. Not all brands were affected equally. Most luxury brands were affected, but other companies and brands were not. Companies like Amazon were striving and thriving and becoming even bigger during the pandemic. So we can't generalize and say that businesses all across the board were failing. Whoever had online businesses was also capable of standing afloat. Chanel did not have an online business, except for perfumes, cosmetics, and sunglasses only in some countries. So fashion and clothing, small leather goods, bags, shoes, all of that, they were at a big loss. But the price increases were happening before that as well. So 30% down in tourism didn't make Chanel, in my opinion, and I mean statistics show it, it didn't make them up the prices more than they have in the past. They kept going in the same rhythm as they always did since 2015. So the pandemic did not change that. Chanel prices, Sophie says, have gone up lower percentage-wise than Yves Saint Laurent. So she lists the toy Lulu, for example, and she states a price and says it has gone up much considerably more during the pandemic than Chanel prices have, because then she showed the mini square and rectangular and said the square went up only 20 pounds, the mini went up 50 or 70 pounds. But this, Sophie, is not the case. She didn't mention Great Britain as Europe at the beginning of the video. Great Britain is not Europe anymore. So there's a whole different standard in how Chanel calculates their prices. Great Britain is isolated completely from the rest of the world. Economically, it just is. And Chanel treats it as such. So it doesn't necessarily harmonize its prices between Europe and Great Britain anymore, as it used to in the past. In fact, Sophie, if you look at the prices of the Chanel, respectively, the two that you mentioned, the square and the rectangular, that went up 20 to 50 pounds, in Europe, they went up considerably more. The rectangular mini used to cost 3,500. It is now 3,800. That's 300 euro more. That's the price increase of the square, of the rectangular. The square, respectively, also in that range. So Great Britain maybe was lucky that it was pardoned a certain increase, also because perhaps Chanel in Great Britain is considering the different type of loss that they're making. And what is the loss in Great Britain? In Great Britain, there has been a considerable drop in the amount of bags sold. And looky, let's have some milk and cookie. As I've been saying for years, if we stop buying, prices start falling. And in fact, they're not falling yet. They're still going up. But Chanel did not dare, because in Great Britain, sales were considerably lower than the rest of Europe. They did not dare go up that much with certain bags because the sales were already not that high. So you see, when you don't purchase anymore so much, they don't go up that much either. So actually, why is the price increase so low on certain items that used to have really high demand? It's because they're not selling as much anymore. So that's why the price increase over there is much lower than the price increase in Europe, where they were still selling a lot. And but then you compared the Yves Saint Laurent Toy Lulu with the Mini, and you said, geez, now the Toy Lulu has gone, is over £1,000 already. And it's a considerable price increase to 2 to 1 years ago when you bought your first one. You had your coupon code, which you also mentioned that you get from time to time. But so let's say from £600-700, it jumped over 1,000. Now it's like £1,100 within the span of a year or two. And you're surprised why YSL jumped higher than Chanel. I can tell you why. The reason being several reasons. One of the reasons is that YSL kept selling online their bags during the entire pandemic, while Chanel did not, because they did not sell online, obviously. So they saw more room for growth because people were buying those bags more than they were buying Chanel, first of all, because they had the opportunity to purchase them online. Second reason, what you failed to mention in your video is the difference in price between the Mini or the Toy Lulu and the Mini Chanel. The Toy Lulu, to begin with, is 1/3. Well, actually now it's because now it's at £1,000. But when it was like £600, it was at like 1/6 of the price of a Chanel Mini. 1/6 of the price, or 1/7 even. That's insane. So you can imagine, when comparatively speaking, these two bags, both beautifully made, some of the Minis are made in Italy, the Toy Lulu is made in Italy, maybe even same factory, you know what I mean? And yet one bag is £3,000 and the other one is £600. So obviously in today's economy, the bag that was £600 has way more room to grow in price. And it still won't come even close to the £3,000 mark of the Mini. So what you should have mentioned is that actually Chanel has very little wiggle room left to grow, and that's why their price increase in Great Britain was that tiny, because they're already ridiculously overpriced. While at the same time, the Toy Lulu is much lower priced than the Chanel Mini, hence there's more room to grow. Not that YSL is that crazy to think that anybody would spend £3,000 for a Toy Lulu. They wouldn't. YSL knows that, but YSL has also had the pro side of the situation, which is they kept selling their bags online throughout the whole pandemic while Chanel didn't, because they have no online sales of those bags. So that's the reason why, because you were asking in your video, why is that? You were surprised. Why is that the Toy Lulu jumped up in price more than the Chanel? Well, that's the reason. Well, those are actually the reasons why there's this discrepancy in the percentage of growth of prices as between these different luxury brands. And again, the fact that in Europe, the minis went up considerably more than in Great Britain is because in Europe, they kept selling more. So why is the new price increase happening? Sophie at one point points out. So COVID has been weird, as she says, because it was not a slow recession. It was a sort of because she says a recession starts slowly, so you kind of feel it coming. But with this pandemic situation, all of a sudden it's like from today to tomorrow, stores are closed, done, no purchasing. And then again, all of a sudden, after the numbers of infected people go down, all of a sudden, bam, stores are open and everybody rushes to shop because maybe they're not going on holiday. So that money that they would have spent to go on holiday, they're going to spend to feel better about themselves by buying luxury. So it was a slow recession. So it wasn't a slow recession. It was made in steps, like lockdown all of a sudden, then stop of lockdown, then lower production of raw goods, like leather or plastic. Brands were not able to create new things, and so they had less stock. So they upped the price to make up for loss of money due to the lockdown. Now, this is partially true, partially not true. It is true that production of many goods slowed down. And it is true that certain raw materials were lacking because manufacturing just ceased. It just ceased all of a sudden. But also truth, the factories, which it's a bit sketchy in that department, depending on the country you're living in, they're not considered essential workers. But in some cases, there were loopholes legally to say they are essential workers because creating raw materials and raw goods are essential to the stability of general economy. So in fact, in some of these factories, certain factories were pretty soon, more so than other businesses, were set up to be able to sustain what they deemed back then safe work conditions, which of course a couple of months after they reopened proved to be totally wrong, and people got super sick because they still made their workers work really close to each other, even though they had the masks. Back then, you didn't have to have those special masks. You just had to have the surgical masks, which didn't work much if you're standing next to each other. On a rotary, situation where you're working in a factory, just doing something. So that didn't work. So many of these instances, these factories had to close down. But the problem here is this, that most of these raw goods that we're talking about, and yes, most of these raw goods we're talking about also come from, even though they're made for luxury brands that state on their products, made in Italy, made in France, most of these raw goods, even for these luxury brands, are produced in India and China. And we know how India and China work with regulations, safety regulations for their workers. They just don't give an F. They just make them work for nothing, almost for peanuts. So this is hence one of the reasons why people forced into labor, even though the situation was very critical. That's why we have these humongous numbers of infected people in those countries. China doesn't really want to give out numbers anyway. India tried not to give out numbers, but it's at a breaking point where the situation is just disastrous. And one of the biggest reasons is because they kept making their people work to create these raw materials that are then needed for these luxury brands in Europe. And Europe is to blame, America as well, because they could have also said, hey, guys, you don't have to produce these things. Safety and health is more important. But no, these luxury brands would put pressure on these brands from India, China, and what have you, to say, you got to still deliver your numbers. We don't care about the fact that in your country you have, the pandemic, just, whatever. We have to deal with the issues we have in our country, so we're going to, protect our workers, but we don't care about you. That's why we've moved our raw material production in your country, because we don't have to abide by any laws and rules and regulations. Let's be really honest about this. The only reason why you would move your production to China or India, Bangladesh, Taiwan is because you don't have to follow strict regulations for your workers. You can save money. That's the only reasons why. That's the only reason why these brands go there. So materials have been produced, but then situation got so critical that these factories really had to close down and slow down. And then yes, we got lack of materials. Fashion brands had to slow down production. Fashion brands had to rethink the way that they build up an entire collection. Chanel made that first step back last year for their cruise collection 2020, when Virginie said, okay, we're going to work with materials that are left over in the ateliers. We're going to work with shapes that we already had in the past seasons. We're going to recycle a lot of things. Because we're all working from home, we can't go into the ateliers to work. So we're going to make a cruise collection, which will not have a fashion show. We're just going to have a couple of models photographed in a little studio setting, super hyper protected with masks and this and that. And the collection is going to be very recycled. And in fact, people were super shocked to see pieces from that collection that they've already seen, identical, maybe slight color change, just the season prior, the same cut, same pieces. The sunglasses with the foldable visor were Karl Lagerfeld's piece from 2013. They were brought back because nylon, those are made in a 3D printed nylon. That was easy to produce again. So they just added a couple of new colors, of which the brown is really divine, even though it was so crazy to see. Then bringing back a model of sunglasses from 2013 as if it were new, but it's a whole concept of recycling, whatever. And I thought to myself, right, recycling, you're bringing back something that you already paid for the design for those glasses in 2013. The materials cost nothing because nylon is what it is, and it's made in Italy. So I wonder how much they're going to cost. Surprisingly enough, they had, because I do own both versions, the sunglasses from 2013 and the brown ones of today, they were only $10 more expensive. And that's okay. From 2013 to 2020, that's 7 years. $10 price increase in 7 years for Chanel is nothing. So I thought that was relatively fair to keep the price stable for those. They didn't go up in price, but still, it's a model you already designed in 2013. They should have cost less, but I digress. So they didn't go up in price. They went up only in price in things like bags that people really wanted to buy. So in terms of lack of material, that's also not the reason why the price increase happened. Why am I saying this? Because the amount of products sold went down because less people were buying. So actually, the brands saved money by not having to produce more in the period when factories were locked down, when raw materials were not being delivered. Same for perfumery. They couldn't harvest certain plants, so perfumes were either watered down. And I was telling you this already a year ago. I said to you guys, stock up on the perfumes you love, because next year we're going to see, if you don't believe, just go back and watch my videos from a year ago. And I told you very specifically, perfumes are going to go down in quality because they're not harvesting stuff. They're going to have to water things down. So at least for a year or two after this first shock of a lockdown happens, the quality is going to go down in a lot of instances. And perfumes are a huge example. So I always said back then, stock up on the perfumes you love, because the next batches coming in the next years are going to be watered down. And they are. People are complaining like crazy that the perfumes are just not delivering anymore with the newest batches. Ask yourself why. So, but the brands saved a lot of money because they were producing less in the last year. They still did not sell out of everything. They did not deliver every product that was ordered by the boutiques because certain materials just did not arrive. So they saved money even there. Nevertheless, they did not sell out of the product in the stores. So they saved money in production. They sold what they got in stores anyway. They didn't sell out of it because a lot of the stuff was left over still on sale. And yet they still increased the price. Another one of the reasons that Sophie mentions here, which is interesting, she points out another reason. The brands feel like they are losing their exclusivity because of big presence on social media. Then she points out correctly, even though social media is not this huge presence in terms of luxury, because we who like, fashion, we follow luxury goods, we follow bags and styles. Our world or our points of interest revolve around these companies or these brands or these topics. So we feel like the world, We feel like the entire world is talking about this, but the entire world, in fact, is not. It's only a small portion of the population that cares about these products, But to us, it feels like everybody cares about them, but it's really a small portion of the community that does, of the human community that does. But so she says, maybe these brands think that they're losing their, the lackluster feeling of exclusivity through just everybody in the fashion community posting in an overexposed manner, posting about these products. And she justly says, but social media always makes it think like it's more than one thinks it is. But so she says that the reason why the price increases are happening now, the lockdown, less sales, but then she says, but overexposure and too many sales and too much showing off on social media. So I'm like, what's it going to be? It's either too much selling or not enough selling that causes a price increase. The presence of these particular bags and in a very tacky manner, might I add, because a lot of these influencers that you see, the major ones, the big ones, they are very tacky, and a lot of them diminish the value of the brand because they show the brand in a light that is, to say the least, undesirable. So it depends what sort of brand you are. If you're a brand that is just really in it for a quick buck, you want exposure, you want the viral content going on social media, and you do not care about the repercussions of what happens in the future to the decisions you make on who to sponsor, who to partner with today. This is an example that I feel Louis Vuitton is really damaging themselves with the whole concept, how they're revamping their whole brand. I think it's making them a lot of money now, but I think long-term it could be damaging to them. Whole other can of worms. So Chanel has been consistently upping their prices in their bags since way before the pandemic, since way before social media was a big thing. After Instagram became a really big thing, Chanel's price increases became quicker in nature. All of a sudden it wasn't one price increase every 2 years. It's like one every half a year. It's one price increase every half a year, or even quicker in some cases. Their shoes, like the slingbacks, last year they went up in price 3 times. So yes, it's true that social media messes with the notion of the desirability, covetability, exclusivity of the brand and how the prices go up, but it is not the dominating factor. And then Sophie ends by saying, how do we profit from this? She believes that the demand on the market at the moment for these bags, here's 2 examples, loves of my life. Clutch, I'm still saying there's a clutch renaissance. Get your clutches before they really go up in price. And the timeless classics, the double flaps, the 255s. So she says now is the time to sell them because there is demand. She believes that the offer in the boutiques is not as big, so that meaning that people cannot really get their dream bag at the Chanel boutique, so they will resort to secondhand, right? So she says how you can profit from this weird, bizarre situation we're in right now. She says, sell your bags. She also claims that selling shoes is not a good idea because usually selling shoes is really hard. It's hard to make a profit. You're going to lose money if you sell shoes, especially if they're worn. I agree with her. She did state that it's really tricky to sell on Vestiaire Collective because they take a huge cut of the profits. Selling on eBay, she also says you could list an item on one of those days when they take no commission, but then again, PayPal takes a commission once you sell an item. She talks about Depop, but she's scared about using Depop. She also talks about Vinted, because they do not allegedly take a commission, but it is also, of course, tricky because you can't send them the bag, and the buyer can really say, I opened the box, there were rocks inside. Now, this is legally a bit tricky. Obviously, I always recommend there's a solution to this. As you're packing your box to send off to the customer, photograph the contents of the box from a distance, from close up from the top, the box open with the product in the box. As you're closing the box, even better, make a video, how you're sealing the box, how you're putting the address of the of the customer you're sending the package to. Film yourself even going to the post, delivering the package, sending it off, photograph immediately the barcode, the code, the tracking number. Like, there are ways of avoiding that the buyer receives the bag and then claims that only rocks were put in the box. There are ways of avoiding that. You just gotta be a little bit clever, which I'm sure Sophie is. So no reason to be afraid for selling your stuff that way. And I'm like thinking to myself, okay, so this whole video to say what, that we should sell our bags now? It was a bit bizarre, the conclusion. But here, now I'm going to share with you my thoughts on the price increases. Because the price increases, again, have been happening before the pandemic. So the pandemic is not the reason for the price increases. So let's analyze the bigger picture here. And we're back to our beauty here. Let's bring it back again. With it's standing right next to, looking at its best friend, the camellia. The bag is like, oh, you're a cute camellia. So first reason, to not oversaturate the market with specific classic heritage bags, hence devaluating the brand's collectability and covetability and prestige. This is something Chanel never shied away from openly saying. They do not wish to see these bags flooding the market. They just don't. And if they realize, they have like a barometer, like they have a measure, you know, if these bags reach a certain amount of sales per day or per week, they trigger the alarm like, oh, we're selling too many of these. Now we got to tone it down. And the best way to tone it down is up the price to stop people from flooding the market. But because Chanel, unlike many other brands, they think ahead. They think at the future. They don't think at short term. Let's make as much profit as we can off of these bags today. Because if they did that, nobody would want this bag tomorrow if everybody could get it today. So they want to keep this bag desirable for as long as possible. And the best way to do so is to keep slipping away, always just a little bit away from that attainability, so that people keep desiring it. It's a very simple marketing ploy, and it's been going on since way before the pandemic, trust you me. And so, because they don't want to have a one-hit wonder, they want these classics to remain classics. In today's economy, the only way to maintain your classic status and desirability is by never allowing it to overflood the market. If you oversaturate the market, people are saturated as well. They don't want it anymore. They're fed up with it. But if they can never really overdo it, they will never get oversaturated with it. Hence, they will keep coming back for more. It's a very shrewd and clever strategy. Here's another point that nobody really mentions. Making these classics go up in price. And I'm just saying classics because those are the ones that go up in price. By classics, also wallets on chain are classics. You know, the classic Chanel pieces. They make you buy the seasonal designs. They keep those seasonal designs selling too. Because the seasonal designs are at a cheaper price as opposed to the classics. Some of the seasonal bags are even 3 times cheaper than the classics. So by maintaining a certain standard of having a couple of these classics that they want to maintain forever, those are the lotto ticket, you know, the Willy Wonka golden factory ticket of Chanel. They're going to keep being at the top of their game because they got their golden lottery tickets up there. And they're going to keep those lottery tickets more expensive than their main offering, so that those golden tickets are not only going to be super covetable in the future as well, but they're also, because they're so expensive, they are going to help Chanel sell the cheaper items. Because you're going to think 10 times before you spend 6,300 or 6,500, 6,300 euro for a small double flap. You're going to think 10 times about it. But because this one is 6,300 euro, you're not going to think twice for the same size, maybe even bigger bag that's seasonal, single flap, for 3,000. It's half the price. So you think, hey, this is a great deal. So the shrewd marketing there, the price increase usually hits the classics, not the seasonal pieces. Seasonal pieces never go up in price. once a seasonal bag has been placed in the store, it's going to maintain its price until it's until they have discontinued or retired that style, while the classics keep going up in price. So that is a very fascinating point, that the classics going up in price facilitate the sales of the seasonal pieces. The going up in price of these classics allows Chanel to sell the seasonal bags much more easier to you. Point 3. Chanel has price increases also to move their inventory. Announcing secretly a price increase to their clients, even though they say they're not allowed to, but you know that they were told to tell you that they secretly announced your price increase, makes people FOMO. It literally makes people FOMO and buy up all the stock that's left existing of their existing bags. The best way to clean up stock in your stock room, or for Chanel, very clever what they do, is they announce secretly a price increase. So in fact, Sophie, you were wrong by saying that the price increase is due to the fact that they have less product. The price increase is there because they're oversaturated with product. And so stating secretly that they're going to have a price increase, people start FOMOing. FOMO. You rush to buy whatever they have left over. They clean their stock room and they start afresh and anew. This is a big reason for a price increase announcement as well. Of course, point number 4, the price increases do make the brand more desirable because people have to dream more about the brand. People have to invest more in the brand. People have to make more of a commitment if they want to be part of that bigger dream, of that bigger echelon, which would be these higher end classic bags, right? And just to prove a point that a lot of people say, you know, Chanel just wants to cater to the 1% of the rich, which is not true. To prove this point is actually very simple. What happens is, so the more they make, the more they up their price. And this is a very, very cruel marketing strategy, but it works brilliantly. It's diabolical. But the more they raise the price of these and the more unattainable they make them for the masses, the more they obtain sales of small leather goods. And this is genius because the more these classics go up in price, the more people want them. The regular working class that cannot, let's say, afford such an expensive bag anymore. But you want a piece of that dream. You want a piece of the action. What can you afford? A small leather good. They're going to literally sell you a tiny little leather flat wallet with nothing, just one slit in it, for $500, $600. And you're going to pay that price. En masse. The masses will purchase it. That's where they make their profits. Not from the 1% of the rich, boo-boo. They make their profits because the price increase of this bag that you will never be able to obtain, okay? They're making it very clear to you because they want you to buy the small leather goods, because they want you to buy their little tiny double C earrings with the crystals that fall off, because that's where they make the biggest profit. Their margins are there. That's where the margins are. So you see the positive aspect of increasing these classics all the time, because then the masses veer towards the small leather goods, which they also increase in price. But because the small leather goods are so much cheaper as compared to the classics, it's easier for you to shell out. You're like, oh my God, the classic bag is, the small is $6,000. Okay, let me buy a wallet for $500. Or a wallet, you wish. Let me buy a leather slit to put one credit card in for $500. And that's how most people think. And that's how Chanel's marketing and all of these luxury brands marketing works. They make you veer towards those pieces on which they invest nothing to make, but you spend a lot of money on because you believe by purchasing that little piece. And you rest assured, they're going to, it doesn't matter how small the piece, they're still going to find a way to plaster the biggest logo on it that they can. so that you can have a piece of that dream, so that you can show that you got a Chanel, so that you can show that you got a Louis Vuitton, Versace, Hermes. They have their ways of showing you. Even the smaller the leather good, the bigger the logo. And so this is how they get to you. The real reason for the price increases is because they want you to buy more, not because they want you to buy less. They just don't want you to buy these special bags because these have to keep the dream of Chanel going. So they don't want everybody to have these, but they want everybody to buy all the other crap that they churn out for a lot of money, but still less money than the classics, so it's much more affordable. And people fall for it all the time, all the time. Every time I go to a Chanel boutique, I see rows of people at the small leather good department looking at those freaking little tiny wallets and stuff, because that's a part of the dream. But that's a huge markup that Chanel is making. If the brand wanted to sell to only 1% of the rich, they would not be making small leather goods and small accessories in those quantities and variations, because they make hundreds of different designs of small. If they were catering just to the 1% of the rich, they would not be making so many small leather goods and so many double C earrings in 50 different variations and 50 different nuances of transparent crystal. There's like 50 shades of transparent crystal, the double C earring, a story. So this is the true reason for those price increases that were happening before the pandemic. They will happen during the pandemic. They are happening during the pandemic, and they will go on happening after the pandemic. Because for Chanel, it's never been about selling these bags. They don't want to sell these bags because they know that these classics are their golden ticket to keep you buying more of everything else they have to offer. As long as you cannot afford this, you're going to keep dreaming about this. And the dream of this, part of that dream of this, is buying the small leather goods and the small accessories and the perfumes and the lipsticks. There you have it. You're welcome. Marketing 101. A free course. And thank you, Sophie, for also making us think. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me get to your chats. Dacob, what about the shoes, and more specifically the sneakers? In Europe, the classic sneakers are more than 900 euro. It's insane. It doesn't matter. The sneakers are still payable. The sneakers are not 6,000 euro. You know what I mean? They're still in that price range where if you want a certain look with a Chanel sneaker, you're gonna have that. You're gonna find a way. You can go in debt. You're gonna find a way to get that sneaker. KTF says, smaller the leather good, bigger the logo. Dacob. Yes. Quote me on that. That is true. And mind you guys, for whoever is watching me here, you know I do these videos live in front of a live audience. This is not pre-recorded. This is not something that I'm just here with a script and this and that. Everything is raw. Everything is in the moment. So, you know, consider that before you throw criticism in the comments down below. Daniel in the Antipodes, in my defense, my card holder logo is embossed, so not too as ostentatious. You guys, don't take this personally. I'm not judging anybody for buying small leather goods. I love the shape of small leather goods too. This is not about liking them or not liking them. This is not about buying them because you can't afford anything else. This is the way the brand thinks. I am not judging here. I am analyzing how they work. And this is how they work. This is how their process is. This is how they earn their money. This is how they earn their billions, not millions, billions. Amina says, Dacob solved the CC Rubik's Cube. Oh, do I have my little Rubik's Cube somewhere? Because you best believe I have my little Rubik's Cube here somewhere. I have to get it. French Riviera says, Dacob, your brain is genius. Thank you so much. I'm telling you, this is how these things work. And my little clip is falling off too. You guys. Hi, everybody. Wait, let me just get my Rubik's Cube. I solved the Rubik's Cube. Chanel could not get the rights to make the little Rubik's Cube, but you best believe Eastpak did. I'm loving this little bag. I got it for my birthday. It's a present. Isn't it the cutest? So yes, I solved the Rubik's Cube and it's a bag now and it's official. And I'm living for it. I love it so much. Daniel says, true, Dacob, about the small leather goods. I wanted a reissue, so I paid, at the time, 360 Australian dollars for a Chanel card holder. I felt like a fool because I knew what was going on, but I bought it regardless. There you go. This is exactly what's happening. MC88 says, small leather goods are expensive. It's a trap. Of course it's a trap, you guys. And we keep falling for it. We keep falling for it, you guys. That's why they are making so many small leather goods now. Now I get it. So smart, says Kate EF. You're welcome, guys. You got a little business marketing lesson 101. I hope you're not going to keep telling me that I keep throwing shade at other YouTubers. I really have the best intentions for everyone. And I really want everybody to smarten up, wake up. And if you're going to make a video about the reasons why a price increase is happening, do your homework and say the correct things, because you have a responsibility. If you have 300,000 people watching you and listening to what you have to say, be sure to deliver the correct information. Keeping it very real here, okay? This is no shade to anyone. My CC88 says, lower price point is still expensive though, 4,000 each. Listen, they still have, my CC88, that's not true. Go to your sales associate and ask them for bags that are 4 years old. They're going to look at you like you're crazy. But if you have a good sales associate, they're going to look at you and be like, oh, she's clever. Why am I saying this? Because most of the bags, especially in leather, do not get sent back after 2 years. The seasonal ones. They get put in the archive. I call them the archive. They're available. But you have to go to the boutique and say, hey, do you still have this bag? So you got to do your homework. You got to do your research about what seasonal bags from 3 or 4 years ago did you like? Find a photo, find a product code, go to your sales associate, ask them to look for the bag. You're going to be surprised at how often those bags are still available and still available at the price from 4 years ago. And then you're going to realize, oh, wait a minute. So actually they still do have bags for 2,000 euro, for 2,500 euro, and not just for 4, 5, 6, 8,000 euro. Yeah, they still do have them. You just got to be clever and ask for them. They're not going to throw them in your face and say, here, save some money, buy the cheaper bag. No, you got to ask them for it. And you're going to be very surprised at how many beautiful seasonal bags are still in their stock, but they don't show it. They don't display it because they're not the newest anymore. So you have to ask for them specifically, and they're going to look for you. And if they can get one, they're going to get it for you. And you're still going to have that old price, and you're going to be shocked because in the meantime, the timeless classics have been going up and up and up and up in price, but the other bags have stayed the same price from 4 years ago, or 3 years ago, or 2 years ago. My CC88 says, classic Chanel is luxury and always desirable. Seasonal bags can be fun at a lower price point. Seasonal bags are also super desirable if you find the right one, the one that really suits you. Because then you're going to love it your whole life. It doesn't matter if it's just, it was a seasonal piece for the brand, but for you, it can become a classic. Because at the end of the day, it's not about what the brand sells you as a classic. At the end of the day, it's about what is classic to you. You wear the bag, you wear the piece, and with time, it becomes a part of you. With time, that thing that was a seasonal bag, it becomes style. It's all in your power. You do not wear the classic bag. You make the bag a classic. So we have to reprogram our way of thinking. Every seasonal bag has the potential of becoming a classic. It all depends on you. You're not supposed to take for granted whatever the brand tells you. This is a classic bag. And you're like, oh, okay, that's a classic bag. No. It is classic if it's classic to you. Let's be very clear about this. You have to take the power back as a consumer into your hands with your style, your identity, your personality. And that bag is classic if it's classic for you. Rich Mitch says, buy 2 of everything when it's new, one for use and the other for storage. Love the idea if the budget is there. Susie Q says, I didn't have a good experience on Vestiaire Collective. You could check out my videos of Vestiaire Collective. I made 2 in particular where people share terrible experiences with Vestiaire Collective. KTF says, love that Chanel clutch. It's a good one. I love it too. My CC88 says, yes, I agree, Dacob. Influences make the brands so very tacky. Influencers. French Riviera Lux says, I can't stand Instagram lately. It's like it's missing the exclusivity. Instagram has become just a dump of trash. Sweet Peach, I hope these luxury brands will have price corrections as like the stock market where correction is a must. They're only going to make price corrections if sales go down. Bottom line, we stop buying, prices go down. Because unlike what the brands want us to believe, that we have no power, that we have to be grateful if they even offer us to buy a bag, to purchase a bag. Unlike that, the reality is actually they can't exist without our money. So if we don't give them the money, what are they going to do? Where are they going to get their money from? The government? No. They're not the tax. They're not the government. So if we don't give them our money, they're going to have to listen to us, what we demand in return for our money. And then the music changes. And how? KDF says, smart point. Thank you for this video, Dacob. Well, thank you too, guys. Let's call it a day. It's been a really long video. This incredible what you are saying, says French Riviera Lux. That's incredible what you are saying. I completely agree with you. It's sad. It is super sad. It's a very simple strategy. It always works in favor of these brands because they always get you. You know, you can't buy the actual... They don't want you to get the actual desirable product because they know that as long as you cannot get that product, you're going to keep buying the smaller products. And the smaller products are going to add up for the brand, having earned way more money than if they had sold you just that one desirable product. Simple math equation, you guys. So, very, very simple. So, if you're going to make a video about why, the truth about price increases, this is what you have to tell your viewers. Okay? Not the fact that 30% of tourists, less tourism, less raw materials. You catch my point. Subscribe to my channel, thumb up this video. Let me know what you thought about this video. Without being maybe too mean in the comments, but whatever. You're going to do what you're going to do, aren't you? Buy vintage, says Rich Mitch. Yes, but vintage market also follows the prices of the new market, so it's a bit tricky with vintage as well. And of course, there's the opportunity of purchasing fakes. So it's the opportunity. It's not an opportunity. There's a danger that you might fall into buying a fake. JRB says, good morning, Dacob. I've been loving the topics on these last few live streams. Thank you so much, JRB. KDF says, yes, I'm noticing many luxury YouTubers in the UK aren't taking Brexit into consideration. No, they live in a bubble. They literally live in a bubble and they think, we can do whatever we want. No, you can't, boo-boo. Great Britain made sure of that by leaving the EU. KDF says, I absolutely agree with you so far because the fact is the pandemic wasn't that hard on the luxury brands and this started long ago. Thank you for doing this. Thank you so much. Debbie says, check and mate. We keep it real. I just keep to the logic. I stick to the logic. Not judging people, judging the words people say and the concepts people deliver. And I analyze those. And I think, okay, so you said 1 + 1 = 4. Does it though? Or does it equal 2? Maybe 1 + 1 = 3. It's all a construct. It's all about philosophy. In fact, people say the biggest philosophy of the world is math. Interesting. I thought math was science, but apparently it's a philosophy. Go figure. Thank you guys so much for watching. Follow me on my Chanel Instagram profile. Coco Chanel is in my house, dedicated to my Chanel collection, where you get to see little babies like this one, the camellia and all that stuff, all that good stuff that I'm obsessed with. You can also follow me on Coco Chanel Privé, dedicated to the life of Coco Chanel, and my main Instagram profile, which is cuckoo and crazy, Super Dacob all spelled together, where amongst other things, I post the funny comments that you guys post in the comment section down below. So be careful, you might get highlighted on my Instagram profile. Until next time, never forget to never give up on love. Love you all, see you soon, take care, bye.